Hey everyone, it's crazy how technology is blurring the lines between what's real and what's fake,
Yeah, for sure.
And today, we're taking a deep dive into something that sounds straight out of science fiction, AI voice cloning.
Right. It's like, how can you even tell if it's really your loved one on the other end of the line anymore?
Exactly. It's this whole world of voice fraud powered by AI that's just exploding. We're talking potential data theft on a massive scale, and it's getting tougher and tougher to detect. But don't worry, we're going to break it all down for you today. We got some really fascinating articles on this, and we're here to help you navigate this whole new landscape.
Yeah, and I think what's most alarming is just the speed at which this technology is spreading. I mean, it's just become so accessible.
Yeah.
And so we really need to be aware of it.
Absolutely. And speaking of real threats, one of the articles actually cited this study from Starling Digital Bank that found a whopping 28% of adults in the UK have already experienced an AI voice scam attempt.
Oh.
Can you believe that? That's over a quarter of the population.
It's a huge number.
It is. And what's even scarier is only 30% of those people felt confident they could actually spot a fake. That leaves a lot of us vulnerable.
Yeah, that's really worrying. And I think part of the reason these scams are so effective is because they play on our emotions.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine you get a call and sounds exactly like your child in distress.
Oh, gosh.
They're saying they need money, urgently. Like, that's going to trigger an immediate emotional response, right? You're not going to be thinking rationally.
Right. You're not going to be in that analytical headspace.
You're just going to want to help.
Exactly. You just want to solve the problem.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's break down how this actually works. How does someone clone a voice with AI? Is it like some super complicated, top secret process?
It's actually a lot simpler than you might think. So all a scammer really needs is a decent voice sample.
Okay.
Which they can get from, all sorts of places. Social media videos, voicemail greetings, even recordings of you talking on the phone. And then they take that sample and they feed it into an AI program, which analyzes all the unique characteristics of your voice, like your pitch, your tone, your rhythm, all those little nuances that make your voice, you.
So the AI is basically building a model of your voice.
Exactly. And there's a few different types of AI models. Some are pretty basic, like text-to-speech, where you just type what you want the AI to say and it'll read it out in the cloned voice. But the really convincing ones use something called voice conversion. And this is where the AI actually learns to mimic the way a person speaks, Not just read text, but actually sound like them in conversation.
So it's going beyond just the words themselves, it's the delivery.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so realistic.
Okay, and I know you mentioned before how scammers really exploit those emotional vulnerabilities, like that scenario with your kid calling in distress.
Sure.
Can you kind of paint a picture of how that scam might actually play out in real life?
Sure, yeah. So let's say you get a call, right? And you look at the caller ID, and it even looks like it's coming from your child's number. Oh, wow.
But of course it's not. It's the scammer using something called spoofing technology.
Okay.
So they can make any number show up on your caller ID.
Gotcha.
And the voice on the other end is, distraught. It sounds just like your child maybe saying they're in a car accident, they hurt someone, and they need bail money, right now. And they'll probably tell you not to call anyone else.
Oh, no.
Keep it quiet.
Yeah.
Don't tell mom or dad. It's all designed to isolate you and really increase the pressure.
Yeah.
They know that if you have time to think rationally, you'd probably see through the deception.
Right. It's just preying on that instant reaction to help.
Exactly.
And what's really scary is how easily these scams can then lead to data theft, too. It's not just about the money you might send.
Right.
It's about, giving up personal information in that panicked state.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, now that we've explored the dark side here,
Yeah.
let's talk about some solutions.
What can people actually do to protect themselves?
Well, thankfully, there are some really effective countermeasures. One thing we always recommend is setting up these secret phrases with your family members.
Oh, that's interesting.
A word or a short phrase that only you guys would know. So if the caller can't provide that phrase, it's a big red flag.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Because even advanced AI, it has its limits.
Absolutely.
It can mimic a voice, but it won't have those super specific personal details.
Exactly. And building on that, another good tactic is asking very specific questions that only the real person would know the answer to. Not just basic facts, but, details about a recent conversation or a shared memory, an inside joke, something the AI wouldn't have access to.
Right. So we're talking about things that don't have a digital footprint, haven't been shared online.
Exactly. Makes it almost impossible for the AI to learn.
But what if the scammer did manage to collect a few of those personal tidbits?
Yeah, then it's all about critical thinking.
Yeah.
Even if they get a few details right, if anything else feels off, like the tone of their voice, the way they're phrasing things, trust your gut. Don't be afraid to be like a little paranoid.
Yeah.
And always, if you have even the slightest doubt, end the call and call back that person directly on a number that you know is theirs.
Absolutely, because we often feel this pressure, like especially if it's an emergency, we feel this pressure to act quickly.
Right.
But taking that moment to verify, oh my gosh, that could be everything.
Absolutely.
What about the voice itself? Are there any telltale signs in the AI-generated voice that tip you off?
Sometimes, yeah, AI is getting really good, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So listen for anything that sounds unnatural, robotic tones, awkward pauses, where a real person would breathe or hesitate. Maybe words that are mispronounced in a way that the real person never would.
Interesting.
Technology hasn't completely cracked the code of human subtlety yet.
So even those tiny details can be super revealing. It's almost like those spot the difference puzzles.
Yeah.
But the stakes are way higher.
Way high.
It really highlights how important it is to pay attention, not just to what's being said, but how it's being said.
Absolutely. And remember, this technology is just going to keep evolving. So the more we educate ourselves and, share that knowledge with people around us, the better equipped we'll all be to spot these scams.
Yeah, think of it like digital literacy for the 21st century. We need to be just as savvy online as we are offline.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a neighborhood watch, but for the digital world.
I like that.
Right. We've all got to look out for each other, especially for those who might be more vulnerable,
Absolutely.
Sharing this knowledge is so important.
Couldn't agree more. So as AI gets more sophisticated, it seems like staying vigilant, informed, and maybe just a little bit skeptical is going to be our best defense going forward.
Absolutely. It's an ongoing process of learning and adapting.
And for everyone listening, we've actually put together some amazing resources in the show notes.
Yeah.
Articles on AI, voice fraud, cybersecurity tips, all sorts of stuff to help you stay ahead of the curve. So be sure to check those out. Share this deep dive with anyone you think might benefit from it. Knowledge is power, people, especially in this crazy, rapidly changing tech landscape.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.